Welcome everyone to the Puff Drink Talk podcast. Conrad here.
Dylan.
You, Tom.
And George.
Welcome everyone to a frigid, freezing, very cold Texas evening for Puff Drink Talk number 71, gentlemen. We're getting up there.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We've been doing this quite a while, and we're fancier and more high-tech every episode. Look at this with these giant, beautiful black arms that we have holding up our microphones. It's a wonder what Dylan and Hilton have been doing.
And the background.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
look at
point.
Is there a difference?
Yeah, oh, my goodness.
That's,
Are you kidding me?
You always ask me for a black arm, so I gave you one.
That's not what I wanted, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers. Anyways, gentlemen, here's to episode 71. Cheers, cheers, cheers. All the way around.
Cheers.
Let us get into the fun stuff.
Okay.
What are we
So-
smoking, gentlemen?
We are smoking these nice and
Oh, I can see. This is an improvement in terms of camera, huh?
the Emerald.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Rocky Patel. It's a brand new cigar.
Mm-hmm.
Came out. When did it come out?
I believe the day after Christmas.
December 26th.
No way.
2024.
No way.
Wait.
Just came out.
Yes, came out.
Literally.
Literally.
Like literally, bro.
Mhm.
Are we the first ones reviewing this?
Hmm.
I would say we're amongst the first.
Yeah. Pioneers. That's what we call it. Yeah.
Revolutionizing the industry.
And I'm going to be pairing with a fruity wine. Red wine.
Same here.
I'll pair with water.
I'm going to be drinking whiskey. I'm drinking a beer right now, but we'll see where the night takes us.
This is interesting. This is the first time on the Puff Drink Talk podcast where we've all smoked, I mean, besides maybe cheap cigars, backwoods, or pipes, where we've all smoked this same high-end Rocky Patel
Mm-hmm.
cigars. I'm interested to see what everyone gets out of it. Flavor note-wise, taste, textures. Maybe it's for some. Maybe it's not for some. We'll see. We'll see how the cigar goes.
It's an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper. I'm getting kind of that barnyardy smell to it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even a little leathery. It's real smooth, the smell.
I was going to say I'm picking up leather.
Color is nice. It's really not super dark, like a dark Maduro or oily. I think I read that it's supposed to be on the lighter end of medium bodied.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be an interesting one. I'm
Some-
gonna punch it.
Someone says
Ooh.
it's approachable to the masses.
Okay.
Right? So it's supposed to be easy to smoke. So even for beginners, that's good. I don't know if I can say that, but just to put it in perspective for our listeners, it's from $11 to $13. This is where it ranges. Just to put in perspective for us, right?
Yep. That's perfect. I want to say we paid $12.50 a stick.
Yeah. So yeah, this is what we saw here. So which size is this?
George, you might want to speak a little bit closer to the mic.
Closer. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it
There we
supposed to be a robusto?
It's a box pressed Robusto.
It's a
yes,
box
sir.
robusto, right? Okay.
I love box pressed. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
If
It's
you
a
give me a
Toro.
box press.
It's a box press Toro.
Is it a Toro?
Mm, I don't.
Yeah. Robusto usually is 5.5 inches by 50.
No, it's a Robusto.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's
figured.
exactly what I said.
You're confusing me, man.
There was a brilliant man that they met, Hilton and Carol, in Vegas last year around the same exact time, who recommended for box pressed to do the punch, correct?
No, we
Or the
wanted
chop.
a punch, and then he said he cannot do it. It has to be a straight cut because of shape.
I thought somebody wanted a V cut, and he's highly recommended against a V cut for a box press. But it could have been
It
the punch.
was a punch. He was like, I want to do a punch, and then Carol, she's big on punch, right, Carol? So, and then they said, no, I'm gonna do a straight cut, and I was like, I think the guy just doesn't have a punch. That's what I thought.
Could be. Well, I'm doing a punch. Sorry, guy.
It was at an expensive lounge in Vegas.
Well, I mean, was he a cigar expert, or was it just kind of?
He's supposed to be.
And I'm gonna do a V cut because I'm gonna against that as well.
I'm gonna go straight cut. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna listen to the expert, so-called expert, quote unquote.
Fuck it, I'm gonna do the needle then.
Everybody's doing a different cut.
I think that's good, though. Well, we're going to have different taste profiles in general, and then we'll all cut it differently. So it's one of the few things we can do that's different.
Cold draw. We're gonna talk about cold draw.
I'm getting a lot of potato chip. It's because I just took a bite of some potato chips. So you have to give me a minute.
I'm getting spice.
I'm getting
Whoa.
sweetness.
Very spicy.
Yeah, it's supposed to be sweet, or to be on the sweet end. That's what it was saying.
I'm getting sweetness specifically, like it tastes like the smell of like a fig Newton. You ever had like a dry?
That's very specific. Very specific.
Specific is terrific.
I'm getting spices. My tongue is like twingly.
How about
I
the
know.
flow? How do you feel the draw?
I get a little spice too, but I get this. I get both. I get sweetness and I get spice.
I don't get any spice at all.
But
That's
like
crazy.
fig-
No.
But draw-wise, phenomenal draw.
Yeah.
Wide open.
Me too. You see, but I'm with the wine, and I've been through quite a few sips. It's opened up my palate a little.
What are you telling me, Hilton? Catch up? Quit babysitting my wine?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, let's light up, gentlemen.
For the ASMRs out there.
Gotta be careful not to burn it.
Mm,
The microphone.
I like it.
Me like it.
Find another one.
Ah, the noise, man. It's sexy.
It smells really good as you're lighting it.
does.
I'm toasting the foot.
How's it burning? Go right.
Good. Good.
First off is excellent. As you said, box breast are the way to go. My favorites.
Yep. Well, and I'll be very honest. I'm just a big Rocky Patel fan in general. So I'm already leaning towards, I know I'm going to like this cigar. But I haven't had the first puff yet. So
You're saying that you already like it by the smell of it?
yep.
First impressions, right? Yeah.
This definitely has a unique flavor to it.
Is that good or bad?
It's
Unique.
it's interesting because and the reason I'm saying it's unique because it's light, but it has a bold flavor for lightness.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like approachable, but also carry enough body that it appeals to people that are seasoned smokers, but also potentially even a first-time smoker.
Exactly, and that's what I'm getting out of it. It's I like it. I really like it.
I get no spice at all. And the retrohale is just smooth and nice and leathery.
Definitely leathery. No, I don't get any spice, like pepper or anything even. It's leathery and not even grassy or anything. It's like leathery. And the aroma, I still get kind of that barnyard,
Yeah.
but very smooth. It's It's a good cigar. It's smooth and it's right in the middle. Like it's not super impactful. From some tasting notes that I've read, I think along the way, not as a traditional first, second, final, third, you might just pick up different flavor notes almost every puff, just as it's mingling in there. So
I got on the tip of my tongue. I got a little bit of a wood, taste. A little bit on the tip of my tongue.
cedar.
Cedar, yeah.
It's usually common with cigars that have the cedar, because that's what they're using in humidors. That's sometimes what they wrap on the foot. It's Spanish cedar.
I was wondering if you had tasted like different kinds of trees, you know,
I
like something
have.
like that. Like, I don't know,
Not
like
because of
when I was
cigars.
4.
I'm real big on mesquite actually, but cedar's pretty bitter.
How does it pair with wine for you, Hilton?
I was gonna say right now.
That's interesting.
I had a sip, and then I picked up some fruit. It's almost like not a citrusy fruit. It's more like I think it's because of the cedar that I'm getting. So that's a little bit of what was sour. But like when you actually go for like a sour taste, because it has like the sugary and sour all together. That's
Yeah.
what I picked up.
So, and it's funny you say that because when I took my first, so I just took a sip of wine, swashed it around my mouth, took a puff. My mouth went kind of numb there for a second.
Tannins.
And tannins are bouncing and they're doing their thing in my mouth with combination of these two. But the flavor is different. I don't know how to describe it. I think what you were saying, Hilton, is like what I'm tasting. But if I was to try and describe it with my own words, I couldn't. I'd just say like, yeah, ditto.
English, my native language.
Yeah.
So
I'm still trying to figure out what my native language is.
I like it so far. So good. So let's get into the subject today.
So this is part one of a 2-part subject.
Are we gonna have time for everything?
Oh yeah, we'll definitely have time for everything. Well, don't.
Part 2 is next week.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's a 2-part
Oh,
series.
Okay.
Part 1 is this week, and then part 2 is the following week. It's a continuation.
I thought everything was gonna go
So
today.
what exactly is part 1?
Part 1 is the rise and fall of the human being. A tale as old as time. Some of the greatest stories, in fact. How a person came from nowhere and they rose to greatness. Either that be a professional, sport player, businessman, president, whatever the story is. Just talking about how a person can, given the right opportunity or circumstances, they can come from absolutely nowhere and make it
Now
here or there into something.
Have you seen The Love Guru?
Yes.
So there's a line in there. It's like, you go from nowhere to now here. And it's the same word. Spelled the same way. 2 words. Now here. Nowhere.
Nowhere.
Food for thought, guys. Food for thought.
So, do with that what you will.
Exactly.
It's actually pretty thought-provoking. I
I
like that one.
I got one. I got one.
I think
At
so.
your own peril, right?
Snapchat.
Still there.
Yeah, I still use it, but it was definitely something that peaked, and it is far past its peak and
Well,
today.
let's not get into what we're supposed to be talking about next week.
Oh,
The decline.
Just dropping
yeah,
seeds.
But the Snapchat, they had an offer from Facebook to be bought out, and they didn't take it, and then the valuation was like 10%. In a year later or something like that. So yeah, they did. I mean, they still exist, but they didn't have a big fall.
Right.
So are we talking about big falls this week or
No, I think next
that's
week, is.
right?
Next week.
So what are we talking about?
It's only the rise.
It's only the rise.
Oh, I didn't get it. I
The
thought it
struggle.
was-
No,
I thought it was the rise and fall today and the
comebacks.
in the previous one. But you are in charge. I'm just trying to remember. Maybe my memory is,
You're right. The rise and fall is today. My
Okay.
mistake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I posed that question incorrectly. I just said the fall, but it's the rise and the fall.
It's the rise and the fall. Yeah.
Okay.
The rise and the fall.
So next
Well-
week is the re-rise.
yes, the re-rise of the fall.
So
So you could
great
use
comeback.
yeah, you could use Snapchat.
You
'Cause
know,
it was-
there's a little bit of a resurgence.
Yeah, there is. So that one we can say for next week. That's something we can dive into.
Perfect. Tune in next week. Do some research. That's a nice little tidbit.
The rise and fall though.
The rise and fall. So is this just open panel forum we're going, or you got some more to share? Or?
Not at all. Whoever wants to take it over and just
A Hawk to a girl.
There you go. Start us off.
wow. Did
I-
you come up with this idea right now?
Yes, but
He was obsessed
I
with
just-
her.
did anybody investigate on that? Because I haven't. So what happened to her?
ironically enough, when I was scrolling through X earlier, either yesterday or today, and I saw two posts. Someone had said, did she commit suicide? Because they don't
that's
know where
dark.
they don't know where she is. So I don't know. I haven't seen anything. I don't think she has. But you talk about a rise and fall of somebody real quick.
Okay, so let's just start. What is the rise for her?
Viral
Fame.
moment.
Okay.
She had one viral moment.
All right. So how was it?
She was out, I believe, in Nashville, drinking, and a guy who is recording videos downtown at the bar just goes up to patrons walking out on the street and out of bars and asks them questions. So he asked her a question. She came back with a funny little comeback line. It went viral, and that's really all there is to it.
All right.
It's quite simple.
Mm-hmm.
So simple that it begs the question, why do we give platforms to people over one viral moment? But that's not the conversation today.
But there must be one element that made it kind of a, interesting, because you need a spark for that, right? Was it like the genuinity of that? Was exactly the moment for the rise? What generated that?
Well, let's have Hilton answer that.
She surfed a wave, right? So the thing is, she did not just took that moment and like, yeah, it was fun and that's it. No, she actually grabbed the opportunity and start, meeting people and talking and, getting influenced by, some folks that, hey, why don't you do that? Why don't you do these? Because she sounded genuine. So that's what it is.
Genuine.
Like, she sounded really genuine, and then she did that. Even like a podcast, it's podcast a very difficult thing to have,
But it strikes me to understand how something that could be considered vulgar 10 years ago, it's massive, it's spectacular now, so.
I mean, I still think it's leaning on the vulgar line. I wouldn't say that she came across disingenuine. Like, certainly wasn't disingenuine, but to say it came across so genuine and heartwarming. She's talking about Hawk to a fillet. Like, it was nothing about it was like, oh my gosh, she's just a really down to earth, cool person. She was drinking, having a good time, and what she said was funny. And from that, she was given an opportunity to do other things, and I think kind of in Hilton's point there is she didn't pass up on those opportunities. Okay, someone wants to have me on. I had my little viral moment. Everyone's talking about it. Now I can go and kind of show the world who I really am, Haley Welch, as a person instead of just Hawk to a girl. But because the name stuck, that's what everybody talked about. It was a funny catchphrase thing to put as the title of her podcast. But she's a person, and I think that version just behind the scenes is a genuine person that people are interested in. But the actual moment itself, I think it was just a lighthearted, funny thing that people are like, okay, she's just out having fun.
Have you guys watched his or listened to or watched his podcast?
No.
The
No?
Talk to a podcast?
Yes,
I have not.
because I would like to see how much she actually milks that cow. You know.
She had someone
know,
running the podcast actually,
Yeah,
and
okay.
then she was just like a character in the podcast, and she had somebody that was asking the questions, and it was her, the other friend of hers, and the person that was really driving the podcast, so like a more experienced person, and so on. But also, what she did a lot using that fame of her was try to gather funds for like helping animals, right? Like animal shelter kind of thing, like dogs and pets and whatnot.
Was she trying to be the next Tiger Queen?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know what a Tiger Queen is, but
It's the opposite of the Tiger King.
Dylan, could you pull it just to check how many people were following her in her podcast? Probably, if it's viral, it go to the millions. Did it?
I think it hit thousands.
Thousands,
which is
okay.
good enough, for a podcast, for a long-term podcast.
200 and... Did y'all hear that or just me?
Yeah, we can say. I don't know. Yeah, I can
Um,
see it. I can see it from here.
Okay. It played through my headset, but I think it's just fine.
Okay.
206,000 subscribers, with some videos upwards of almost 350,000 views. There's one here that has 600,000 views almost. So 500,000.
Okay.
And then, I mean, that's a respect from... I mean, how many videos does she have?
Not a lot because
many.
Yeah.
78 in total, as you can see up there. So to go from
When have you started? 4 months ago.
4 months ago with Whitney
Okay.
Cummings, the premiere
Yep.
had 2.7 million. And then it started falling off. I mean, I guess it depends on the guest, too. Like, you're going to bring in a lot of fans of the guest that you bring in as well. But to gain 206,000 subscribers from a podcast you started 4 months ago, I would say that's a success, right?
Can you tell me if it's 90,000 or 900,000 there? Because I can see from here.
932,000.
932,000. Okay, almost a million for one of the videos.
Well, that is JoJo Siwa.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yes. So
So it's a combination of obviously people that want to listen to it and then people there just to hear
Yeah.
JoJo Siwa.
Yeah, I mean, she has surfed the wave, and before the podcast, actually, she and people said, "Hey, you should start a podcast because you are interesting and all." Because she was doing interviews and going to events and whatnot, right? But she was also like doing a lot of marketing to try and help, cats, dogs, like those people like for you to adopt,
Mm-hmm.
pets, right? So she was doing a lot of that, which resonate with a lot of people because people like to have animal. Like you have a dog, I have a dog.
I adopted that dog
Yes, and then
through the same service.
you both of you have cats. Two of them.
Yep.
So, and then
It resonates with the public for sure.
yeah. So and the people go like, yeah, I mean, she's why not, right? But you see, from the first podcast, 2.7 million views to the second podcast, it was like
823.
It's less than a million, and then 600, and then 400.
A big
Then-
pop with JoJo.
And then she got a person there that I don't know. I don't know who Papa Jojo is.
JoJo Siwa, she's just like, she was on Disney Channel or something back in the day, and now she's like,
She's fallen off.
she makes music. She's an artist, and she's
But I can see there it's Jake Paul, Mark Cuban, right? So the,
Wiz Khalifa,
Yeah,
Jake Paul, so
yeah.
the bigger names of certain people. Josh Richards is like on Barstool Sports with Dave Portnoy. They have a podcast, something BFF or I forget the name, but she's got some names of people on here that
Come
people
on.
know. Holly Madison is that next Playboy Bunny? Holly Madison, or am I mistaken?
that's what I was about to tell. Come on, I would like to see maybe a porn star. That would be awesome. It would be aligned, with the whole
With the Hawk Tour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But anyway,
Yep, she was a Playboy Bunny with Hugh Hefner.
Okay.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's more in the realm I was talking about.
It was her, Kendra Wilkinson, and one other. They had a TV show for a while. It was like The Girls Next Door or something. Definitely famous people. So I wonder if she works with any sort of talent agency. Sometimes when that is the case, they will put other celebrities that they manage as a way to just promote content and exposure.
I don't have that information.
None of us do. But
Yeah, but I was like, where is she? And then she just disappeared. So anybody knows what happened? Like you
What's the beginning of the fall?
on X you said that you read something.
we know that.
Well, so to fill you in on the gap, she launched Tua Coin or Hawk Coin, or what was it? What was it called? A meme coin, crypto meme coin. It shot up in popularity. People bought into it, and then it ended up being a scam. Or I don't know how much of a scam it is, other than people invested money hoping to make a quick buck, and then it instantly lost value. So
I'm not educated enough on all of this. I think that there was a lot of talk. A lot of people bought into it. Supply and demand type thing. So a lot of people bought it. The value rose, and then a bunch of shares were sold to make the profit. And then after a bunch were sold, the value started going back down.
And then additionally, I think she overpromised.
Could be.
Overpromised, underachieved a lot of the aspects, and people were pissed off. And I think there was some legal allegations that they were going to take her to court for,
Mm-hmm.
you know, X, Y, and Z. Of course, you're trying to promote your meme coin. You want to promote your cryptocurrency. That's the new thing to do.
Right.
And if you are not cautious and say the right things, you can be legally held responsible for the outcome of that.
Well, I don't see anything being promoted there, right? So it seems like she didn't mix the meme coin with the podcast, right?
I think it was all done through social media,
Social
Instagram,
Instagram.
X account, Instagram.
I missed the launch of the coin. I only figured out about this story after it was already starting to become a problem.
I lost $100.
You did? How about okay?
If somebody had
Seriously.
if someone had a camera on Hilton's face, he lit up like a little girl, like, really? Tell me more about your meme coin.
Yeah, I would like to see you suffer.
Yeah, I suffered.
I just saw the controversy when that started. So the accusations, and then she was going on spaces in X and having conversations with people. Someone went in there and kind of infiltrated it and started talking some shit to her, and then she was denying allegations, and it got real weird. From then, she hopped offline. So I'm sure she finished the space, whatever. No one's really heard much from her since. I looked it up. There is no solid, firm information on it. There's no conclusion that we know for a fact what the case is. It's just the most obvious speculation is that she might have been arrested. News to me is Conrad was hearing potentially that she could have committed suicide or something. We don't know.
But also, what could have happened is like, okay, now she put some money together, right? She put some money together. So now she's like, do you know what? The shit hit the fan. I'm just gonna retreat and then now live my life offline. She's got the money. Why not, right? If she has the money, of course. I doubt it if she lost it.
I just did a quick little search. Investors are speaking out against her because the meme coin lost 95% of its value in 20 minutes. It went from being valued at $40 million to absolutely nothing in 20 minutes. So somebody basically pumped and dumped, and people lost their money.
That was the accusation that I saw, and it was from a guy that follows cryptocurrency and stocks and stuff, and the way that they set it up and commissioned the whole thing was just allegedly was not by the book. So the way they did stuff.
But that's not a stock market, so it's a meme coin, right?
But there are laws to protect consumers. Clearly, people get excited about that. The way it's sold, as you mentioned, overpromised, underdelivered. So I think there should be laws regulating that. We know that now we won't have that, right? The idea is to make it less regulated. So I'm afraid we're going to see way more of those until we have to react and then start, when you say it's better for us to regulate that, I think.
Financial literacy is such an important thing to be aware of and do your research in. And unfortunately, that's just human nature. You gamble, you impulse buy, and the thought and the promise of invest early in this meme coin because it has the potential to make you money. Everyone jumps on it. I'm guilty of it. I bought into Doge. I have Dogecoin still at this moment. I finally broke even after making a ton of money and then going back down. So now I'm right at the even mark.
So you didn't make any. You look like you would have made some.
I would have made a lot of money off of it, but it just went up and went down, and then now it's back at a point where if I sold everything right now, I'd get my money back.
Do you remember when was it the top? Was it a Friday? Was it a Friday night? Was the top of the Doge, and then Elon Musk had a talk on Saturday Night Live, and then the next morning it went all the way down.
Well, and that's it. It was a pump and dump.
Yes.
Pump and dump. He pumped it up, and then whales who had invested millions or billions of dollars into Doge just sold it at its peak, and then profited all of the highs, and everyone else suffered if they didn't jump on that opportunity.
And that's
the stock market.
Yeah,
that's the volatility of it. It's unpredictable.
Yeah, but the stock market has like break, right? So they have like a little. So if
circuit break.
Yeah, like
Yes.
a circuit break. So
Rules,
if there is
10%,
more than
20%.
if it's 10%, and then it locks it down, nobody can buy or sell until
For
everybody
an hour to
everybody
calm down.
calms down,
And then they reopen it.
yeah.
If it goes down for the second time, 10 more %, then they close. They stock for that day, and now to avoid speculation, because you see, the more money you have, the more influence you have, the faster you do. Especially AI right now, like all these guys, all these investors are using AI, and we are unprotected against that. So there should be regulations. I don't know how. I don't like the idea of adding regulations, but we must have certain standards, to avoid that so many people get scammed.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other example?
Actually, pick up just a ride on that, right? I would like to remind you guys of the tulips in Amsterdam. Have you guys heard about that?
Yeah. That was their currency, or one of their biggest exports.
Well, they have just liberated from Spain that time, and then it was a very potent, like a strong society. There was like a lot of different social classes, and then they started because like, have you seen a tulip? Or like it opens. It was a symbol of high society. Like it was a symbol of that, and then everyone started buying that thing, and then it got to a point that one tulip was the price of a car. Let's say out of a transport at that time. 5 tulips, you would change that for your house. It was so crazy that everyone started producing that. All of a sudden, it was all dumped, and thousands, like sold their properties and sold everything.
But it's like tulip is like a flower.
Yeah, the flower.
Okay.
Yeah, you would have a flower that would be they would exchange a famous picture for a rare tulip, for example, and then everybody stopped producing many other different things in order to produce tulips.
Sounds like the boi gordo in Brazil.
Yes, kind of. Yeah, so that's one of the cases, and all of a sudden everyone wanted to have that. So that's a case. of lack of regulation, and you see what happens. So this it's a common case to mention the tulips as an example of what the market can do to you.
What else?
What else?
You could go on and on about the rise and fall of sports figures.
Sure. O.J. Simpson.
O.J. Simpson is a very good example of someone who rose to fame. Movies.
No, just explain a little on O.J. Simpson.
So O.J. Simpson was the running back, had a tough upbringing, made it through college, played professional sports, went into and played football for the Buffalo Bills. Phenomenal running back. Really, really, really good football player. They called him Juice. And then he started transitioning to movies. He played in, I believe it was Loaded Weapon 1 with, what was the other actor?
Liam Neeson?
Not Liam Neeson.
It's not Liam Neeson. Okay.
The guy who always does parody movies.
Yes. I forgot in Portuguese. Yeah. I know what you're talking
You know
about.
who I'm talking about.
Yeah. I have the title in English. It's not coming up because
Yeah.
I saw that in Brazil, so I always forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's like the king of parodies, especially for like that era and that genre. And he was in number 2, and then I think they brought him back for number 3. So his career was shooting off, finishing football, which he retired at a fantastic career there.
Huh.
Getting into,
But how many years he played?
I believe it was 10 or 11 years.
Leslie Nielsen.
Well, it was a long time then.
Leslie Nielsen.
It's The Naked Gun.
Naked Gun.
The Naked
That's
Gun.
what it
Yeah,
was.
The Naked Gun. Yeah, that's the name.
Funny, just spoof movies on
Yes.
cops and robbers,
Right.
investigation movies. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of good movies. But then he started getting into acting, which was really propelling his career, moving out to Hollywood, rubbing elbows with a lot of rich people. And then he allegedly, well, is it allegedly? And I mean, he did confess to it on his deathbed. Didn't he confess to it?
No, I don't think he did.
Oh, okay. I thought for sure he would have. He allegedly murdered his wives, multiple wives, 2 wives, 2 different wives.
In 2 different moments.
Yes, in 2
Oh my
different
God.
moments.
Okay.
If it was on the same time, I would say like, well, he doesn't live in the U.S., right?
Am I tripping on the history of it? I believe it was 2 wives that he murdered or allegedly murdered.
I don't know. The one that I'm aware of is the one wife he had at the time, and he was pretty good friends. Is it Robert Kardashian?
Yes.
You know the Kardashians. Their father, late father, was an attorney, and he represented O.J. Simpson in this murder trial.
Oh, okay.
Him and a team.
That's the O.J. Simpson that it's the Kardashians' lawyer kind of thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the famous line from a trial where it was, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. So they found murder evidence of a leather glove, and in the middle of the courtroom, put it on, and he started doing like weird stuff with his hands, like, see, it doesn't fit, and that was pivotal evidence and a pivotal moment. And I think they teach that nowadays is you don't give the person accused an item to like show off in front of the jury, a piece of evidence. You can't give him control of that. So that was kind of a pivotal moment in the case, and ultimately he was not charged with murder, got away with it allegedly. He didn't do it, but everybody believes that he did,
I see.
basically. So and then after that I didn't think he had much of a career doing many other things because of the stigma, but hung around, did stuff, still lived in the area, mingled with affluent people, but
But it wasn't famous anymore, right?
his name was famous, but he just wasn't involved in any projects, like doing much. He probably did a few things here and there, but he wasn't. His acting career was kind of halted. So
Bill Cosby,
Bill Cosby.
one of the rarest comedians that you could, who was, I'm going to say the rarest comedian in the absolute fact that he was 100% clean. No cuss words, no derogatory remarks, just pure filtered comedy is what he delivered. And then he had the Cosby Show, which was a family style TV show.
It was basically like America's Dad.
America's Dad, exactly. Would not cuss, would not do anything, and then later come to find out he was spiking women's drinks at bars.
Yep, roofie him.
Yeah.
That the dark passenger, man. Those guys have the dark passenger. That's the thing.
Yep.
And is it they really caught it and it's like a thing?
Yeah, he went to
like
prison.
Proved.
He went to prison for years. Yeah.
No.
Old. He was old. I think he was found and judged at like 70 something years old and put
He
into
was an old
jail.
man. Yep. So it's not too dissimilar from what we're seeing today with the whole Diddy situation.
I was gonna ask that. What about this DD guy?
Hasn't gone to a trial yet, but I'm sure that's where it's headed. He was arrested. There's a lot of stuff coming out with affidavits and subpoenas and people spreading information. So,
And there is a lot of people coming public about it, right?
yeah.
Okay.
To be honest, people have been public for a long time. You know, like many actors and many celebrities that spoke against, but he held a lot of power. So now, you know, the evidences are overwhelming, right? So probably that's why more people are coming out and people are less afraid to say it. We heard a lot of stories, right?
Yeah.
A lot of stories.
And the reason that I wanted to name this podcast the human story is it seems like thank you, Hilton. It seems it's hard to find a genuine person. It really is hard to find a genuine person with an ulterior motive or just a weird fetish or something that is very concerning with their behavior. It's hard to find that particular person. Especially and it's even harder to find a person in a wealthy or established status, meaning somebody who is affluent, that has power in the public eye, that they're not some type of power hungry, egotistical, into themselves, feel like they can get away with anything type of mentality. And I feel like it's such a human thing that we've always read. I mean, if you look at the Bible as a history book, how many stories are in there about rose to fame and power, committed all of these crimes and sins, and then God punished him for everything that he committed, right? It's a tale as old as time.
And what motivates that? Like, they get it into that too much. They think they are untouchable, right? So it's got to be something like that, you know? Like, you got too cocky, you got too confident that nothing is going to happen to you.
What's the catchphrase that the people say? Like, power kind of
Power corrupts.
corrupts. Power corrupts, right?
Yeah.
At a certain level.
Which I believe that. I definitely believe that. That definitely does happen, which is unfortunate. It's hard to find genuine people, even in not positions of power, because they're trying to get into positions of power.
We haven't even covered history, right? So we have the rise and fall of Hitler, the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, right? So there are not only a person, but societies, you know, entire nations, you know, and it's inevitable, you know, except for the United States, because it's never going to happen with America, you know, but
we're very young.
yeah,
We're still
yeah.
very young.
Yeah.
Y'all are coming with some heavy hitting stuff. I was thinking of like the app Vine. Do you remember Vine?
Yeah.
I do not remember, but you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Was it very?
I loved Vine.
I loved it. It was so short. I think I liked the 5
It
second
was like
thing, you know?
TikTok
Yeah.
before TikTok, and videos were limited to 6 seconds.
Yeah.
That was it. So it's very short format content, funny. Nobody was going on there with tinfoil hat conspiracy. Let me talk to you about Russia. Like, there wasn't enough time to do it.
Yeah.
So it was just short format, comedic, and just it was huge. Like, especially when I was in high school, it was huge.
It was huge.
I never heard of it. I never heard of it. Although a Clubhouse was also an app, right? That went up like so quickly, and then 2 months later, everybody deleted it.
Well, what's the phrase? It's like
MySpace.
the bigger you are, the harder you fall too.
Yep.
So it's like with all of the notoriety and all the people using it, when you fall off hard. So I don't know. A lot of people today like, what is Vine? Never heard of it.
I literally never heard of Vine. I mean, first time I ever heard was when you mentioned it to me.
Me talking about it. Yeah.
Be careful. It's on the citizenship test. You have to know what Vine is.
I have about
Study up.
5 years to. I have 5 years to study that.
We're helping you on question number 1.
Okay.
The answer is going to be, damn Daniel, back at it again with the Vans. Keep that one in your noggin.
True.
What else we got?
Well, I mean that's it. That's the rise and fall of humanity right there. As a tale as old as time.
Look, I definitely think we could come back to this at some point as Roman Empire. There's so many things where you could talk about that we just.
I can talk about one topic I read today because before leaving here, I just wrote the rise and fall of, and you know what? The first thing that came to my search, prostitution in the U.S. It was like, what? And then they were saying like, yeah, can't
What?
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And then it says like, okay, so think about that. You're expanding to the West. Only young men. They left their families. So all the cities would have from 5 to 10% of the woman population involved with prostitution in America for a long time. So it got to the 1890s, and then they started creating laws. There were laws about it. You know, they started back it off, and you know, like a purity of America. You know.
Do you think part of that is because they were making too much money?
Yeah,
Under the
some
table.
Wasn't.
No. Like in 1920s, there are registers that prostitutes making what today would be from $600,000 to $700,000 a year. We are talking about hundreds of houses of prostitutes making a lot of money. And then there is an act. I couldn't read much, but there is a act to, you know, because of the slavery behind that, all the drugs and all the violence involved, so they started protecting it. And then in the beginning of the 1900s, there are a lot of laws protecting acts, you know, to avoid prostitution, especially of whites. I think the act is like the white protection, something like this. So we have the fall. Now prostitution is 0.1% of most places, but it was 10%. We're talking about 100 times more.
Just out of curiosity, is there anywhere in the United States that actually has legal prostitution or no?
I think
Vegas?
only Vegas, yeah. So
Yeah.
Well, all I'll say is Gators bitches better be wearing jimmies.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually
It was just fun.
No, that's really an interesting thing.
Yeah.
that it popped out. Rise and fall
I was like,
of prostitution.
Why? In the it was
I-
funny. That's
no-
probably my algorithm.
Very little about that, just from like Westworld. You
Yes.
watched there.
Yes.
I think there is something pretty substantial to the economic impact of prostitution in general.
Absolutely.
It like paved the way to build towns and things.
Mhm.
I think, unless I'm misspeaking.
Yeah, definitely. I saw also some other more conservative sites saying that the numbers were exaggerated. It wasn't that bad. So it depends on the source you take it from, but it was just I was just so curious. But it was like 4:55. I only have like 5 minutes to read, so I thought it would be an interesting topic to bring.
One thing how long did that last in years?
They said from 1830s to 1920s, like when
So 90 years.
yeah 90
90
years,
years.
90 years, yes. And the formation of the US is based on pleasure, guys, right?
That's great.
Man, we were born 90 years too late, right?
Yeah.
But I was
Or,
gonna.
or
I
we
was
could
gonna-
live in Vegas.
Yeah, I was gonna mention these, which is you see like a hog tour, a couple of months, maybe a little bit more than that. O.J. Simpson was like 11 years, as you mentioned. 90 years for the prostitution, and 600 years as the Roman Empire. We don't know, a lot about Roman Empire, but looking back, all these episodes that happened, many many years ago, right? We look back at it and go like, yeah, the Roman Empire was 650 something years, right?
Well, it all depends on what you call Roman Empire, because you had like different types of Roman empires, So if you put it all together, it's going to be over 1,500 years, depending on how you see that.
Yeah.
And what calls attention is what causes all of that, like the corruption, I think is definitely how this society rotten, I would say.
It, again, is probably a hunger for power, hunger for expansion, conquering.
Yes.
I have this plot of land, I want more. It's the Genghis
Mhm.
Khan mentality. I want to own the world. I want it all. So you spread yourself too thin sometimes, and then you get got. So it's actually something with new businesses. You really want to build a single location up before you start opening up multiple locations. It's really hard to support that. So as you expand, you have all these growing pains, so that you can be the Roman Empire, but you're not immune to that. But 600 years is a long time. 1,000 years, whatever the
Yes.
exact. It's a long time.
Mhm.
So
But you just mentioned business like Blockbuster, right? It's a huge,
Rise and fall.
yes, a
Man.
huge business, and then they.
Which one? Sorry.
Blockbuster.
Oh,
but I believe the world was continuing to evolve, and they just weren't able to keep up with it. It was turning into the digital media that we're familiar with today.
Or they're just thinking that they were like, no, we dictate the market, so the market's going to be these. But then there was this little company that was renting DVDs,
Yeah.
Mailing it in,
And they
like
were a joke.
like the Red Box and Netflix or whatever, and
was
now
Netflix.
there was another company.
Redbox is still available. You still see them here and there, but the one that really it was Netflix. Kids today would have no idea. They would mail you DVDs.
Yeah.
And everybody, it was like a joke to people. We're like, this is never going to turn into anything. And when it turned to streaming in real time, it changed the game. And it was really hard to go back to renting DVDs. Who owns a Blu-ray player today?
Not only that, but it's like, why I don't need to rewind my tape,
With
to
your-
return to
with the pen.
Blockbuster.
with the pen, like or the cassettes.
Yeah, the
you have
VHS
to
tapes.
you have to do it with a pen.
Yeah.
In order to record it. Yeah.
Because you'd get like fined by the business like Blockbuster if you did not rewind the tapes, right? And then after that it was DVD because the media changed, and then it changed to online.
I feel like part of the downfall was catering to people maybe that really couldn't afford it at the time. So you're not paying at the time. Like you put down a $20 deposit on the movie. When you return it, depending on how many days, we'll credit you. I don't think they really had the infrastructure for that. So they had people set up accounts, and clearly a lot of people didn't return it. So they would extra your account out. You go in, you give them a different phone number. You give them some type of open up a new account. So they just were losing so much inventory and losing money that even when they were at the height, Blockbuster was making a lot of money. There's a lot of Blockbusters, but the business model itself was kind of bad.
I don't know if they also own the land where the stores were. So there are so many speculations we can do it because it gets so expensive. Think about you're making decisions, right? You got to make a decision. And then I am in a position that I can actually move to this new technology, but I have so many assets connected to this business. I'll hold to it, and then you don't use your advantage of being big in the market to adjust, like Kodak is another example, like, no, this is never going to happen. Or Xerox, computers, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like how much you are so committed to your business that you refuse to somehow adjust and calibrate your business.
Yeah, you got to adapt.
So interesting enough, there's a Blockbuster documentary on Netflix, and in that documentary, they talk to the CEO who admitted and said that Netflix approached them and said, "Do you want to buy us out?" And Blockbuster turned it down. Blockbuster said, "You know what? We believe in our business model, as you said, George. They have too much invested into their assets to go, I'm going to invest all of our money and start closing stores, start shuttering businesses, firing people that have made their livelihood or living, working at a Blockbuster."
Well, that's very applicable today with pharmaceutical companies and oil versus electric. These big entities have invested so much money that they don't want to shift yet. Cigarettes versus e-cigarettes versus medical marijuana, pharmaceuticals. You will see this happen over and over and over and over. It takes the right company, the right person to have the wherewithal to be like, it's time to make the switch.
And sometimes go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Sometimes also is the perfect storm, right? So the family is trying to get rid of the business, and then there are no buyers for that because there's a new technology coming up, and then you can't sell it, and you don't want to adjust. It could be a economic crisis. There's so many elements that can work at the same time that might generate the fall.
We are living right now. A moment that it's happening. We just don't know yet with or to whom it is.
Absolutely.
Right?
With what?
We don't know to whom or to which company, to each country. The fall is starting to happen right now. But we don't know. But we are living that moment. We are living in a historical moment. That people 150 years from now is gonna look back and say like, yeah, that was kind of the beginning of the fall or something like that, right?
You don't know where we are in the curve. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, we don't know.
In the graph.
Yeah, we don't know. But I want to make a point on I want to get like a little for the cigar review on how has it developed the palate for you all.
I'll go first. It's turning to be kind of a harsh cigar for my palate. It's got a bitter taste, and I don't know if it's because of the wine, but there's a bitter aftertaste with it. Some might enjoy it. I'm not a particular fan of the bitter taste to it. Again, it could be the tangents from the wine that are hitting it, but that's what I'm getting is some bitterness to it.
Did you try to purge it? Because
that's what I was just gonna go do.
Yeah.
Let me purge and then I'll come back.
It's good to have multiple opinions on it too. So some people out there might pick up. I'm not really getting any bitterness at all. Actually, I'm getting a lot of. To me, it's really smooth still. I'm getting more of like medium body, like that wood that you were picking up earlier. For me, it's heavier in kind of like a wood category. I'm getting on the back of my tongue just the subtlest, slightest bit of pepper, but it's not spicy. It's a flavor profile. And it's still, from the beginning to where I'm at now, I still get a forefront of leather. It's like leather smoothness.
And you are pairing with?
I'm pairing it with Hogsworth whiskey, a bourbon, just on ice, on the rocks. So I'm getting probably a little bit more bitterness, so to speak, from my drink. And when I pair that back with the cigar is very well-rounded and smooth, and they play well with each other. So if you go from one to the other, either direction, from cigar to whiskey, the whiskey tastes nice. From the whiskey to the cigar, tastes nice. So I find it to be relatively mellow. Like it's a medium body, but leaning mellow, almost. I mean, which makes sense. It's an Habano wrapper, so it's not as full-bodied and heavy as like a dark Maduro would be, but it still has like a flavor reminiscent of a Maduro, where you're getting kind of those stronger, bolder flavors. So I'm enjoying it a lot. This would be one that I'm probably going to want to pick up some and store in my humidor for later.
I want to mention that mine, I'm picking up a lot of spices, probably because of I'm pairing with wine, because you're picking up just a little bit, but you're drinking like a very cool drink, right?
Yes.
And I'm drinking a drink that opens up the palate, which is a wine. On the retrohale, though, it's still very smooth, no spices at all on the retrohale, which is it's strange because I'm getting that on my tongue and I'm afraid of retrohaling, but I do it and it's like no spices at all. I get cedar and a little bit of leather on the retro, and the aftertaste is a sweet and sour at the back of my tongue, and then the middle of my tongue is very spicy. So it's a little bit different than what you're getting, but I think that is down to the pairing.
What's interesting too is the tongue, the chemistry, the biology of the tongue. You do pick up different flavors on different parts of the tongue. For me, where I'm getting like the subtle pepper is on like the sides of my tongue, towards the back, like on the sides.
Me too, but I'm more towards the center of my tongue, and the back is more the sweet and sour.
You're picking up sweet, so that's interesting because I'm not picking up a lot of that. I'm getting more like the tip of the tongue and the sides. I'm getting pepper, the tip of the tongue to the middle. I'm getting kind of just like a smooth wood cedary vibe.
George.
First of all, I don't feel the sweetness that the cigar promised. I didn't feel that, but it was a very easy smoke. I mean, I haven't needed to relight it, and for a few times stay there. The cigar stay there for about 3 to 4 minutes, so that's pretty good.
Yep.
I like the smoke, the type of smoke. I don't know if it's because all the system we created here, but it gave me a better experience not having this smoke on my face. So that's a very good thing. I felt a little bit of a menthol,
Okay.
a menthol. So I would say a herby menthol, like a mojito. Like when you have it, like the pieces of mojito, then you take it, the plant, and then you put it in your mouth and put it back. That kind of a menthol mojito
You
thing.
just mentioned that, and the tip of my tongue, I get a tiny little bit of that
just a
because
little
you
bit.
mentioned it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
just a
It's
little bit.
crazy.
Well, I
Suggestion.
Yeah.
it might be a little bit of suggestion, but a lot of it is, I think, due to you're picking up something you don't know what it is, and it's association. So it's this brain association of like, oh, that is what it is, And
Yeah.
something about mint in particular is it's a bright flavor, like it pops.
Yes.
But you can mix it with sugary stuff, you can make it sweet, but it's not inherently a sweet thing.
It would be perfect with a mojito. This cigar would be perfect with a mojito. You maybe would change his
Restaurant.
experience with that. That's my view on that.
Did you say perfect pairing with a burrito?
I know.
Hey, you know what? Could be.
Yeah, well, it's
Why?
always. Yeah, you always work. Oh, well, just one more thing. I am in the middle of the second third. That's important for us.
Close to
It's
the mic,
important
please.
for us to mention where
Yeah.
we are because it
Yeah.
changes the experience.
Yeah, we're halfway through the cigar.
I'm about 50%.
Yes.
50%.
Same.
Yeah. So. Just
So I do have to revise after I purged because it has gone out with talking so much. I get that spice. After I purged, first inhale after the purge. When you were saying, Hilton, you were getting the spices off to the side of your tongue and towards the back. God damn, it was a spicy meatball.
Yeah. What George mentioned, he's getting a little bit of like a menthol.
Menthol.
Yeah.
I
Which
was
is
getting
the,
that too.
the
I was
tip-
getting that too.
yeah.
and I'm getting that on the tip of the tongue, and I didn't know. And then he mentions like, and then you brighten up. Oh, yes, that's what I'm getting in the tip of my tongue.
Right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
I
Yep.
kept looking for if it's rosemary, like kind of a spice. That's why I mentioned the mojito,
Yeah.
the drink, because there are so many different spices. There are so many different spices there. So yeah, it's not much. I feel the tobacco and just a little bit, like just a hint of a menthol or of some, as I mentioned, spicy. Not too much. It's sweet. It's simple, not sweet.
And see, so now that you say the menthol part, I can't get it out of my head.
I know.
And I think that's what's hitting me where I would love this cigar if it didn't have that menthol flavor. If it didn't have it, I am not a menthol person.
Yeah.
So, like I mentioned before, when my grandma passed away, about smoking menthol cigarettes because that's what she smoked. And I got 2 cigarettes in and I'm going, what the hell? No wonder she died from this shit because menthol is just the worst.
It traumatized you.
Exactly.
It has.
And that's what I'm saying is like, there's something, it's good. Don't get me wrong.
But you're picking up more spices though, because I'm picking up so much more spices than
So I'm
anything else.
getting an aftertaste. I'm getting a spice aftertaste, but it's the initial menthol flavor, and that's the menthol flavor that's sticking with me. That's throwing me off.
And you know what? I thought in the beginning, I tried to find exactly what I was feeling, and I was influenced by the color, I think. The color green. Influenced.
Interesting.
Maybe because today I was reading about how color affects our body. That's a great topic too. It's like how colors around. For example, we don't realize it, but it's affecting your body. It's affecting how you think, the way you are, so that's a great topic for the future. But I saw the green. Maybe I was a little bit influenced by the color green, but no, then I felt, no, it is menthol.
Before that, I want to get the scores on the cigars.
Mine is, as you can see, it didn't finish off pretty well. It was burning, can you see that? You can't see that, right? Yeah. It was burning evenly the whole time, but then at the end, look what happened, and then it affects the taste. It's peppery. It's not a good last third. I didn't like the last third. Maybe it's my experience, but first third, second third, pretty good. Last third.
So the taste that you're getting, the taste we're getting now, it's more peppery for you. And
I mean, for the whole experience, I
better.
will give an 89 because of the end.
87 for me. After you pointed out the menthol taste, I can't get the menthol taste out of my mind. But honestly, that's what I was having this whole time. I'm just not a menthol person. 87.
And Conrad only smoked like half of it.
This is the final third.
Yeah.
I'm approaching to the
also
final third.
Favors Connecticut's and
Yes.
other rappers for the most part. I'm not as far along as George is. I can break off the ash a little bit here. You can see, I'll put it up to this camera. Construction, put it on this one. Construction at this point is still, for me, great. It's burning really evenly. The taste is still there.
Great image.
It's
Gotta get out of the view, and then you gotta get George on.
it's focusing on my hand. There we go. So very clean line. It's gonna keep changing the focus. Doesn't matter. The point is, mine's burning really well. Construction's really well. That's probably the nature to it's a natural product, hand rolled. It comes from the earth, and they wrap it up. So not every single stick's gonna perform the exact same, but that's good for viewers to see too. Like, just because we are getting a certain experience doesn't mean you'll get the exact same experience. I would probably rate it a 91. It's kind of stayed true for me the whole time. I never picked up any menthol, even searching for it. I never picked up menthol. I did pick up a little sweetness at the beginning. I let mine go out. I was talking. I went to the restroom. I came back. I tried to puff it. It was not on fire anymore. And I I got an overwhelming flavor of chocolate. So, and I wrote it down because it was kind of, I was like, whoa, it just transformed into something sweet. And then I relit it again and the chocolate kind of went away. So I'm sure temperature has a big role in that. But for me, it's been a great flavor. It's been very smooth. It's been very welcoming. And this would definitely be one that I'd pick up and store again, as I said before. I think almost wanted to give it like a 92, but I'm going to conservatively give it a 91 just because I haven't finished it all the way. There might be room for it. I don't know. My experience has been very good.
Okay, for me, I'm still able to retrohale, even though it's in the end of the cigar. So I'm pretty much the same stage as Dylan is right now. It did not go out once. I had a little correction at the beginning because I was talking too much and paying attention to the conversation and not really puffing, enough. But then I kept up with it, and I'm giving it a 93. And
Monster score.
It's been smooth. It's been easy to smoke. It's been peppery, and I like those tastes. And again, it's a great thing that we do this because people can watch and say like, okay, so this type of cigar might go well with my taste profile because we have different taste profiles in here, right? So I did get a little bit of a menthol on the tip of my tongue, but now I don't get it anymore. I'm getting a little bit more metallic aftertaste. It doesn't bother me, to be honest with you. And yeah, solid for me. Pretty good cigar.
Well, I think we've mentioned many things that you could pair it with. We've got wine, we've got whiskey. George mentioned a mojito would go well with it. We all have different things that we prefer, whether that's a Connecticut, whether that's Sumatra. Hilton and I really like Maduros. So maybe this is indicative of somebody that is into more bold flavors, typically a Maduro smoker, that this is one that you're going to take and go, wow, I like it. If you're one that really leans towards lighter shades and more mellow flavors, you could dive into this cigar, but this is not going to be a 92 for you. This is going to be somewhere in the high 80s, which is still
Correct.
A good cigar. That's a good score for a cigar that's probably not one that you're going to pick off the shelf yourself. That's not one you're going to gravitate towards. For it to still be 87, that's a good score.
Look, for $12 for this cigar, also we have to consider that. I remember that when I start smoking, right? So a friend of mine asked me, "Hey, could you buy 10, 20 cigars, bring to Brazil here?" So for the reception, on the wedding, like we would smoke together. And then I researched a lot. It's got to be Robusto because people get sick or something. This cigar, it's a cigar that I would consider taking to people that don't smoke quite often, and they would have a good experience for $12. Because one thing I always keep saying, Hilton, is that the younger you are, the less purchasing power you have. So you can't. You end up in your first experiences trying something that is not that good. And then you dislike that, you create a trauma with that for ages. This one, if the person smokes for the first time, the person won't have that kind of feeling. So I would recommend for that.
So that's our review on these cigars, and I hope you liked it.
It's brand new. Head to your local cigar store and check it out and pick it up for, the range that it's in. I think $11 to $13 if you can afford it. Try it out.
If you like this comments, please give us a like there.
Comment.
Subscribe. Yeah, tell us in the comment section if you get your hands on one, what your thoughts of it are. We love feedback. I'd love to hear something that you're picking up from it.
Maybe you disagree with all of us and are getting completely different notes or pairing it with some other type of drink that you recommend.
And you can tell that I'm full of shit for bringing the menthol thing.
Yeah, let us know.
No, you didn't, because I did pick that up.
All right.
Brought to you by Ballerini Floors, our number one sponsor of this podcast. We are very appreciative of Ballerini Floors and other contributions. Check them out if you need anything that you step on. You step on it, they do it. And with that, we thank you for another great week, and we just ask that you subscribe.
Like,
comment.
And hit the notification.
Yeah. Share with the
Share
friends.
with
share
your
too,
friends.
yeah.
Hit that bell. And we will see you next week for another awesome episode, and it will be part 2.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.